So starting off, we're going to put together our pre-cut design. So these are our different pieces. And what we're going to do is called weeding. And while we're weeding, we're going to make sure to leave these little stars here and whatever our design is. So in this case, it's these letters. And so we peel off everything that we don't want. You want to make sure to leave those stars in place and don't let them shift around. The clear backing's a little tricky, and I am speeding up this video so that you don't have to sit through quite so much of me doing this process, but I do want you to see the full process so you know kind of what to expect. Now I'm using this little tool to take out the insides of these little kind of spaces with these letters. It is really sticky, so you kind of have to be careful. And I'm moving on to the next piece here. So keep an eye out for what's sticking and what's not. You might have to use one of the tools to kind of poke it down or kind of hold it as you're peeling up the edges. So again, we have our little tools, and we have these right next to the Cricut machines. So if you're wanting to use them, there's like tweezers and then this little kind of weeding pick. And here I've got the tweezers that you can kind of use to get around. We also have a magnifying glass in this space if you're finding it hard to see the tiny parts, so feel free to use that as well. The trickiest one was this kind of gold. I've also got kind of like a peachy gold color. So these stars really didn't want to like stay in place. And thankfully, because it's on the white background, you see real close, there's kind of a cut edge on that white backing paper. So I'm using the little tweezers to kind of nudge that back into space where it lines up right over those little kind of cut lines. That way everything's going to still be lined up the way we need it to be. So the next thing I've got is this contact paper. So you kind of peel up the edge. That one's a little trickier. Kind of have to ruffle the edges a little bit to sort of get a purchase. And contact paper is just our cheap alternative to the transfer tape. I found the transfer tape from Cricut was too strong. So for this, I use my sleeve to kind of stick it to and pull it off so it's not quite so sticky. So we're starting here with our book portion, so I'm just going to bend this a little bit, put it down in the middle, and kind of let it spread out to the sides. And I rub that down and make sure everything's stuck down. Sometimes you can use like a little gift card or your library card to smooth it down into place. And then I'm going to peel that backing off. You might have to rub it onto the contact paper a little more in case it doesn't stick. So we're sticking all of this onto our contact paper. And we're using the contact paper to line up the different pieces. So you'll see how that works once we start the next part. And I'm also using this clear plastic from this vinyl to kind of protect our other design. Sometimes you can use other pieces of clear things, but since we have this in our project, I figured we can use it. So I use it to protect the other letters in case while I'm lining it up it accidentally sticks. So I want to line up these stars, and I kind of started with the one on the left, got that lined up, and then I stuck down the one on the right after lining it up. So you set those down right on top of each other, and that's what's allowing the design. And we're going to peel back that little protection. And this is where I kind of make a mistake. I should have left that protection down above there because you'll see. So you see that they're nicely lined up, and I stick it all down. Yeah, here's where I made the mistake. I kind of pressed too much on the table, and I should have put that little plastic over top of where the book edges were. So I kind of got stuck to the table. But making happens, and we make mistakes, and that's okay. So it was easy enough to kind of peel it up gently. So here again, I'm peeling off the backing so that we can move on to the next color. taking that off. And now I've got our last color here. And I put the plastic kind of at an angle so it actually would protect the stars a little bit. Like the little part of the design stars, not the stars at the bottom. So I'm again lining up those stars at the bottom, kind of starting on the left and lining that star up, and then shifting the one on the right until it's all lined up. And then I take out that plastic and kind of roll it down to get everything in alignment so it'll look like what we designed. So I kind of rub those off onto our transfer tape or our contact paper. So you see everything's kind of keeping their right relationship because we were using those stars as kind of our guide to have things line up. And there we've got it all apart. So because the stars at the bottom aren't a part of the design, I take those off because I don't want those to transfer. That was just a tool to help line things up because this design didn't really have edges or anything like that. So I grab whatever I want to stick it to and I kind of line it up there and sort of lay it down gently and then smooth it out. And this is where you might, again, get one of those gift cards or your library card to kind of scrape and squeegee across to really stick it down. You can kind of rub it. And then I peel back the contact paper and I keep it real close to the surface so that it peels a little easier. If you see anything kind of pulling up, you kind of rub it a little stronger so it sticks the stickiness on the cutouts a little better. So gently pull that back, and this can be time consuming, so be gentle and keep an eye out because here again those R's and E's that you just didn't want to stick for a little bit. So just rub it down, take your time, and roll that back. So that's kind of a quick, easy how to line up different pieces and transfer it to an object. For this next part, you'll need to come into the library makerspace, make sure to bring your library card and your kit supplies. You'll go to our Cricut computer and log in using your library card number and your PIN, and then have a staff member help you log into our Cricut account. That will help you get access to this project. Now that you've logged on with your library card and had a staff member sign you into our Cricut account, this is kind of what you'll see on the Cricut account. You'll see the different projects that they're featuring. If you come in fairly soon, then you'll have our projects kind of down here, and our project is the multicolored vinyl here. If you come in soon, it should be near the top. If you don't see it in this row, you can always click on My Projects in the top right, and then it'll be in this list. This is kind of all the different projects we have. So for this class, because we're doing something that has options for you, you have enough material to do one of these, we're going to click on Customize so that we can choose which design we're going to use on this project. So here you've got our two different designs. This book lever is already in your kit and it's pre-cut so that you can practice lining up your stars and putting it together. You can either cut this one again, or you can choose to cut this different design. You can even start a new project and create your own. You can use your 3 colors kind of however you want to use them. So that's entirely up to you. I just wanted to give you some projects that will be easy to work with. In this case, I'm going to cut the different design. So I want to turn off the eye on the one that I don't want to use. And there's this long list of projects, or the layers here on the right. I'm going to collapse the little group arrow on the right here so that I just have those two little groups, and I can turn the eyes on and off for which design I don't want. So for this, I'm going to keep going with my book nerd because I like that design. It's pretty cool. So now that I've closed the eye in the design that I don't want, I am going to click on the right-hand corner for Make It. And here it comes up. You see it breaks down the different colors and you have everything lined up. We're going to leave it the way it is. Go to our little Cricut here, open up the lid, and press the power button unless it's already on. So that is the setup you need for the machine, because the machine needs to be on in order for the software to work. So we're going to click on continue here. And this is the point. I'm on the Cricut Maker. We're cutting vinyl. So we want to cut vinyl. So we're going to choose that material. And I'm also going to leave the pressure on default. And you can see we don't need anything in clamp A. And we have our fine point blade in clamp B. Then you're going to click the load button. This button should be blinking. So you just have to look at what color you need to load. In this case, I am going to load my gold. I take off the Cricut mat cover. This is a protective cover to make sure that the mat stays sticky. And then I take my gold vinyl and I line it up here in top left corner, just like the picture shows. So I line that up and then I load it by kind of gently holding the mat up against these wheels under the little tabs here, and I press the blinking button, which is the load button. And if it's loaded all properly, you can click on the next blinking button, which is our little Cricut button. So you can see it gives you a little progress window showing you how soon the cut will be done. It kind of lags a little bit, but overall that's pretty much what happens. Now that it's done, I'm going to click on the blinking button again, and this time it's the load button. I love how it lets you know which button you need to press because it's always the blinking one, unless you have to unload it in case it gets jammed or something. For this design, the next color I see is black because it's highlighted white. I've got the little check mark on the yellow. And so I'm moving on to my black color. So again, I'm just making sure the vinyl is facing up. The black is a little tricky because your kit, it's like shiny on one side and then matte on the other. This vinyl is matte. So I'm gonna put this shiny side down. Our other colors have a white backing. So that is how you know which side is going to be down. So for your kit and your material for this class, the shiny side on the black goes down. So we're going to stick that to our mat so it fits just like that. And then again, I'm going to hold it under those tabs up against the wheels and press the blinking button. Now that it's loaded, press the next blinking button. And there should be some kind of extra material, so feel free to use the Scrippy Scraps to
create other projects. If you don't want to use it, feel free to toss it in the community vinyl drawer. So then maybe if someone needs a little of that color, they'll have it on hand, or maybe it's you that comes back and ends up using that material. We have a really awesome community that has been very generous with their different scraps and materials and stuff. Okay, so that's one's done. So again, blinking button. And then I'm going to take off the vinyl. And these projects are pretty small, but if you want to avoid your material from curling, you can put it face down on a table and hold your material up against the mat and peel, like bend the mat itself. And that kind of keeps your material flat. Last color, we've got our red. So I'm going to stick that again in the top left here. So I've got that in place. And you don't have to put the lid up and down. I'm just trying to save space on camera. So definitely use the tables. We have some awesome tables in here to work on. So blinking button again. And Cricut button, the blinking button for the Cricut. So that's easy peasy. And this is how it works for any Cricut project, really. The workflow is the same, where you log into the computer, have staff log you into the account, and then you start cutting your designs. Okay, so that's all done. I'm going to click on the button. And that's it. So now that I'm done cutting, I'm going to take that protective cover and put that back on. I can turn off the machine and close the lid. So that's all done. And you can tell the software to finish. And if you're done cutting and you're done with the computer and everything, you can close the software with the X in the top right corner. And at the bottom of the screen, you should have a log off button so that it will get the computer ready for the next person. All right. I hope you have lots of fun with these projects. Use the beginning part of this video to help you put together the same stars. The process works the same. Also, check out those links to the explanations where a person shared how to create your own registration marks. So the registration marks are our little stars. That's how we know how to line up our design. And the person that I saw, they use stars because it gives you more points to accurately line up your design. I hope you have lots of fun doing this project and enjoy using the Cuyahoga Falls Library Makerspace. Happy making!